So I actually asked Spirit, how am I ever going to learn how to set up a private practice, a small private practice? And wouldn't you know, like within 24 or 48 hours, the phone rang. Welcome to Soul Awareness with Constance Messmer. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to continue on with my little memoir of how I began my business, actually, and all the magical steps that were kind of laid out before me as long as I just had my eyes and ears open to move forward on it. So I hope you are inspired by today's session. Again, thanks for joining me. By the time I got back home to the East Coast of America, I was wearing a lot of clear quartz. I was still working as a waitress and trying to straddle both worlds, who I wanted to become and who I was yet to let go of. I loved waitressing. I loved feeding people. I was always into entertaining them and making sure they had a beautiful experience. It was a remarkable gift to be a waitress for so long. Sometimes I miss it and want to just go back to it for the fun of it because it can be so fun, But I was, meant to move on to this other work. And so it was really interesting because I literally thought to Spirit, how can I open this practice? Because after a period of time, I was of really letting the Reiki healing energy sift through each of my chakras, 21 days. You're able to start practicing. And I wanted to get into this work and see how it was. So I actually asked Spirit, how am I ever going to learn how to set up a private practice, a small private practice? And wouldn't you know, like within 24 or 48 hours, the phone rang and a practitioner on the island called me. She was losing her phone staff, her office manager, and wondered if I wanted to take the position. It was extremely part-time. And I was like, I tuned to Spirit, and Spirit's like, take it. I totally took the job. It was, of course, remarkable. I learned how to set up books, set up appointments, what looked like a healthy schedule of appointments each day. For me, it became 4, eventually 4 each day, all this stuff. It was a fantastic kind of segue. I didn't quit the waitressing world. I straddled all the worlds at once. I worked for her. I worked as a waitress, and I slowly built my practice. I made house calls as a Reiki practitioner, and it was okay, but it wasn't amazing. Reiki's, you do it silently. It's pretty remarkable. It's subtle. It can be bold, the changes, the healings that take place. But it's some people at that point in the late 90s, people didn't really buy it or believe into it. So I asked Spirit if I could maybe, learn more, like learn another trade or something. I needed help to actually expand on it. And wouldn't you know, I get back to Glastonbury, another trip to Glastonbury, another trip to Shambhala. I think it was to study my master's. I'm in there. This time I have a tummy ache and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on with this tummy ache when I'm in this place? And there was this other really lovely couple there. And this one guy, the man, was like, hey, just come in. Let's go do some body work on the treatment table. So all of us went into one of the practitioner spaces and I jumped up on the table and he just did this one move right beneath my xiphoid process or over my xiphoid process. It's right where your rib cage comes together down below at the bottom of the rib cage. Okay, ready? I farted. Like you would not believe I farted. But the whole pain released. And I was like, what did you just do? And he said, it was Bowen, Bowen. It was a Bowen move. I am a Bowen teacher. It's remedial therapy for troubles. He said, I'm actually teaching a class in I don't know, was it like a month or something in London? And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, you can learn it over several weekends, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm signing up. I have to take this. I knew in that instant, like, oh my God, not only is this stuff really cool, but this was something that was more physical and tangible to garner and draw in more clients. And Bowen is fantastic. I still do it as one of my services. I love it. It is remarkable. It is gentle, hands-on, subtle moves over muscle and connective tissue where muscles overlap. And it is remarkable. Look it up. Tom Bowen, Australia. He said he actually came from God. I believe him. I think we all come from God, but he really came from God, right? Yeah. Because it's so helpful. It helps so many people. I'll have more stories on that later, but I just thought I was like, God, you're so funny to lead me to Bowen in this random way. At that time, I was renting a room in a house with a bunch of other gals. It was really lovely. I had a lot of beautiful experiences happen as my heart and mind and soul were opened with my Glastonbury experiences. That was when I first started seeing fairies, and loved ones that had crossed had come to me, not only in my eyes open, but also in my meditation. My grandmother, um, who had died when I was in 8th grade, came forward and taught me how to throw light. She taught me how to do a lot of work in the spirit realm. I'm really grateful to her. It was a time when I had to do house calls because I had no treatment room in my space. And it was really fascinating because my business was kind of stagnant. It was just slowly opening up, which was good because I offered Reiki in Bowen. And it was good because I got to get used to the idea. Plus I was, still working as a waitress, still working for that other practitioner. And I, needed to kind of get it all together. Meanwhile, there was this pull at my heart, especially in the meditation. I worked with, when I was doing the meditation, I worked with this beautiful soul at the time called Samuel. And he was my mentor and my teacher. He would push me to do and expand my business in ways that I didn't want to, but now I realize it was part of the journey. I should look him up again and say thanks. So anyway, what it was really fascinating because it kept being this pull when I was walking through my daily life. You've got to start doing reads while you're doing Reiki. You've got to start giving them information while you're doing Reiki. Now, why is that? It's because when I would put my hands on people and I would find the energy blocks in their body, and the energy blocks with Reiki, it would signify that there was something off in the energetic body. But if let go a while, it also signified block in the emotional body. But if it would let go a while, then after bit, then there would be a block in the physical body and there might be physical pain. So it was fascinating because when I put my hands on people and I sensed the blocks, I would go into the blocks and I would see what it was from. It was either from an instance that happened in their childhood, or perhaps even a past life, or a current situation, or a truth unlived, all of these things. So I was so nervous, worried, concerned to say what I was getting because I thought, what if it's wrong? It just doesn't seem, fair. They're only coming for Reiki healing energy. And Spirit kept saying, you've got to tell them, you've got to tell them, you've got to tell them. And so all of a sudden I was just like, hey, sometimes when I'm working on people, this was during a sessions, when I'm working on people, sometimes I get little hits as to what the energy block is about. And I get little psychic hits. Do you mind if I tell you? And they always said yes. And every time it was always right. There were often tears, better releases, more profound healing experiences. I always thanked God. And I was always floored that it was becoming my new life to have this incredibly soulful spiritual connection and helping people with theirs. So I was going to wait and tell you when I tell you more Reiki stories of Reiki healings, but I am compelled to tell you this. And I asked God, and I was like, sure, go ahead. Like, okay. Or was that you, Dad? So before I started telling people what I was getting, because it was so powerfully, unbelievable. That's the word. It was unbelievable. I did these house calls. One in particular, which really stands out. This woman, Dorothy, had called me. And so I went to the house she was at, and I asked her, because I could do the work. I didn't need to schlep a treatment table, a massage table, although I have before. I could do the work on a single bed. So I asked her, and there was a room we used, and I started doing the healing work. She didn't say why I was there or what it was about or anything. And I started, with Reiki, you can start anywhere, but typically you start on the head and then move down the front of the body, ask them to turn over and move down the back of their body with certain hand placements, specifically over the numerous chakras, because there's not just 7. So I was working on her, and remember, I'm not telling her out loud. This is before I decided, okay, I'm going to say what was going on. I had my hands on her, and it could tell there was this incredible sadness. I had my hand on her heart. There was this immense sadness, and I just kept trying to will the energy to heal the sadness, heal the sadness. Please just heal the sadness. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. It wasn't shifting. It was there. I kept moving through the hand positions, and then I had her flip over. Now, when I got to the back of her heart, it was really obvious that the sadness that was there was a past, I don't know if it was a death or just a tragedy or something, that was still hung up in her energy field. And now I began to realize I need to pray. I need help. I cannot alone heal this woman. And I really wanted to help her. And so I had my hands, was that it? Or maybe she was on her back. Anyway, my hand position, I do remember my hand position. I had one hand on the back of her heart and the other hand on the front of her uterus. So it was, for those of you that know Reiki and the chakras, back of the fourth chakra, heart, love, everything. And then second chakra, relationship, sexual issues, creativity, and new beginnings. So my left hand was on her, pelvic bladder area, and the right hand was under the back of her heart. She must have been on her back. So I'm working on her, and I begin to pray. I need help. So I'm asking, this was when I really was not adamant, like really ferociously working with angels yet. I was praying to the angels. I'm like, can somebody help me? Can somebody help me? And my eyes are closed. But in my field of vision, somebody comes to the doorway. Now the hall light was on. I had the rest of the lights in the room on low because I thought, she needs to relax. So let me just get her relaxed by closing down some lights. So there's the hall light on, and there's this figure that shows up and blocks out some of the light behind. And I look up, physically look over. Now she's got her eyes closed. Dorothy has her eyes closed. I look up physically, and Jesus walks in, and I was like, fabulous, you're here. And I thought he would just come over and pop his hands on her body also to join me. And he's like, listen, I'm just going to enter into your body. So like in Glastonbury, he comes from behind, moves into my whole energy field, has his hands. Oh no, that's when my hands moved. Shoo, shoo. Like he moved my hands to where they needed to be. That was it. Thank you, God. No problem. So, moved my hands and just was like staying. I knew I'm just supposed to stay there. I, meanwhile, kind of saw my energy and essence leave my body and go sit in a corner chair, just waiting while Jesus did this. And I'm just watching like me, but I'm not in my body. He is. And I'm over sitting in the corner chair. Then I hear she was totally silent throughout the whole healing. Now, earlier when I was working on her myself, I thought, God, if she could only cry, she could release it. If she could only cry, she could release it. She was not crying. That's when I asked for the help. But when Jesus got hands on her, then all of a sudden she starts, kind of, and then a floodgate of tears come through, and she's crying and crying and crying. And then I'm realizing, oh, it's releasing. This go Jesus. This block is releasing. And then she kind of came to a calm place, and he says to me, it is finished. And then I know the reference. And then I come over and I boop right back in my body. He's off, and I of course thank him. And then I finish the rest of the session, and it's all done. Now, mind you, I'm not going to tell her what happened because I'm like, I don't know if she's going to get it, whatever. And she sits up at the end and she goes, you're not going to believe what just happened. I said, what? She said, when you put your hands here and here, and that's where Jesus put his hands. When you put your hands here and here, I heard a voice that said, be still and know that I am God. She said, do you believe me? I said, I totally believe you. She said, that's when I healed. I said, I know. And then I told her my experience. We were both like, oh my God. It was so beautiful. I never really knew what the hardship was or the sadness was that she had carried, but I definitely was so profoundly grateful to be such a channel for that incredible healing. And I left, and I was so kind of freaked out by it, because that's a lot of, I don't know, I want to say responsibility to know that could occur through me, that I went and dancing and had a beer. I had a beer and I went dancing because that was part of the early, oh my God, I can't, is this real? And of course it's real, because I didn't even tell her. It was amazing. That was one of a few times that Jesus worked inside my energy field and worked through me. I think it was that Jesus experience and the recognition that it was validated and true and real and happening, and even though it was seemingly unbelievable, I think that was the point that after Spirit kept saying, "You got to tell them what you're feeling. You got to tell them what you're feeling." I knew I had to tell them what the blocks were on their energy field and in their body. It was part of the healing experience for them, because I've learned in the healing work that sometimes the energy just shifts and goes, and they don't need to know about it. It happens in my own life. Do I need to look at this pain that's leaving, or do I really need to explore the past life? Do I need to make amends? Do I need to see who that person is in this incarnation? And no wonder I have a nudgy attitude with them, or whatever, or can't let them go, or can't get them out of my mind, or, there's still a bond or a tie or a cord, if you will. But it was that Jesus experience that I realized, when Spirit kept saying, "You've got to talk to them. You've got to talk to them." I knew I had to surrender to God in this way. It was really God asking me, "Listen, if you're gonna be my," little did I know at the time, "my vocal piece, or my helper, my comforter, my hands," because I was always praying, "Let me be your hands, your voice, your heart, work through me, make my heart with thine accord." God was saying, if you're going to do this work, you need to really do this work. And so it was around that time that I then consecrated my work to God. I said, "Okay, bring it on. Bring it on." And thank you, God, thank you. And I still say thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane for me as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. I think it's important for me to tell you these stories, because they give you kind of a solid foundation of who I am and what I've come from, and maybe it'll inspire you if you're having these similar experiences, how you might explore going deeper, or working with your skills. I don't want to say gifts, right? I know they're gifts. It's all over my astrology. It's what I'm meant to do in this incarnation, blah, blah, blah. I got 2 yods in my chart, 2 fingers of God. But I still think it's a skill we can all develop. I think we're all capable of these mystical connections. I think it's part of our evolutionary journey. And my work is to empower you. So I'm really glad you're tuning in, double entendre, and also listening to my podcast. It's after this that I'm going to start getting into the teachings. So I'm just really, actually, no, there's one more. My God visit. It's huge. And then I get into the teaching. So thank you so much for being there and being a part of my audience and listening. And if you love it, I would love it if you shared my podcast with others. And I'm just starting it off, so I've still got to put it on other platforms and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still working on that bit. But all of my links are on my website, constancemessmer.com. And again, I know you are blessed. I just want you to recognize the blessings abundantly. That's what my wish is for you. I really, really hope your eyes open and your ears open more, and you lean into all these magical moments, these magical, mystical moments of your soul experience. Thank you. Legally speaking, this podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for medical diagnosis, treatment, or the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. You should not use this information to diagnose or treat a health problem or condition. Always check with your doctor.
Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this episode of Soul Awareness with Constance Messmer, we'd like to encourage you to continue your spiritual journey with this next episode.